All right, lights, camera, Barstool movie review time. Jeff D. Lowe alongside Ken Jack and Gooch. We're talking the Equalizer 3 today, starring the one and only. You have three Equalizer, the one and
Bob
only
McCall.
Denzel Washington. If you're on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you know when we have new reviews, rankings, drafts, movie news, trailer breakdowns, so much of that and more coming out. Make sure you do that, subscribe, and of course, like the video. That helps us out big time, helps more of our content be seen. Equalizer 3, the sequel to Equalizer 2. Or as Wikipedia tried to tell me earlier, EQ2. No human being has ever called it EQ2 until
Not
I
once.
just did. The first movie came out, by the way, in 2014. If you would have told me that The Equalizer came out in 2003, I would have believed you. For some reason, I've always thought of The Equalizer as a movie that came out in the early 2000s, and then The Equalizer 2 was like a sequel 15 years later.
Man on Fire 2, basically.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, they came out with three of these in the span of like 10 years. Once again, directed by Antoine Fuqua, who has worked with him obviously in the past, as Ken Jack just alluded to. He's done many things.
So does Dakota Fanning
Day
and Man on Fire.
Yeah, that's right. Training Day. That's his best movie. Antoine Fuqua. I'd be shocked if he ever makes something better than that, which is not to like crap on his work, but I'm just saying it's just a fucking awesome movie. Many other movies as well. Did the Magnificent Seven reboot, did Southpaw, which was famously ruined by its trailer, which told everyone the twist in the movie. Olympus Has Fallen. Shooter, which a lot of people like. I don't personally love, but people love Shooter. But yeah, Antoine Fuqua back with Denzel Washington, Dakota Fanning in the movie as well. Getting pretty good reviews. It's the highest critically rated movie of the Equalizer franchise, the trilogy, on Rotten Tomatoes. And I'll give you my score. I think it's the best of the bunch. I like it the most out of the three. I don't say I like it like leagues more, but I like it a fairly large step up. I think these movies are fun. They're a good time. They're classic old action. The fact that I thought the first one was made in the early 2000s kind of says it all. Like, that's what it feels like. But I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I think there's something about this movie, without spoiling too much of what happens, about them slowing it down in some parts and really building the character up. Like, it gave a little more weight to what we were seeing rather than just like a superhero action guy base. Because he's basically a superhero at this point. Like, it's like the John Wick type thing, right? But I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Like I said, liked it most out of the franchise. There's just something about Denzel that takes what is pretty corny and cliche to an extent and just brings it to another level because he is Denzel and he has the ability to do that as the actor that he is. And he has a fucking ton of fun with it. You can just tell he loves playing the character, loves playing old Bob McCall. So I liked it quite a bit. I'm giving it a 72 out of 100, which I don't think you can really rate this movie much higher than that. Like, in terms of what this is, like, I think it is what it is. And it's a good fucking time. So 72 out of 100 for me. It's the best of the trilogy in my opinion.
Yeah, Bob McCall sounds like a parrot having a stroke or something. You know what I mean?
I got a Bob McCall story here in a minute.
Oh, great! We got this one. I feel like all three of these movies are in the same very tight grouping of scores for me. Like, I'm sure I have the first one at the top, and I'm putting this one. This is probably the worst for me out of the three. But it's like picking hairs. Really, it's like okay. Let me double check. I think I have Equalizer.
The first one at a 78, and you have the second one at a 69.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, this one would be like a 67. Then it's really like it's there's not a huge difference in quality between all three of them. I don't think. I think I like this one the least because like it was like Bob McCall goes on vacation. It felt like a little just kind of like slop together storylines from other better like heroes and shows. I didn't really like any character outside of Bob McCall. I don't think anyone did a particularly great job or was well casted. It was just kind of like lame, and there wasn't enough equalizing. And like that is my number one thing. If I'm going to an Equalizer, shit has to be equalized. I want maximum equalization throughout the movie. And like where you enjoyed them slowing it down and building up the character, that ain't why I want to go to an Equalizer movie. I want to see people get equalized very violently and gratuitously. And that did not happen. And that is a massive, I think, kind of detriment to this movie. But again, it's I say massive. It's like really splitting hairs between the three movies, but like that is what I'm like. Okay, we're going to the third movie. They gotta do crazy shit. Like when you think about like even John Wick 3 or something like that, like the stakes get upped and the shit gets crazier every time. And like from Equalizer 1 to 2, like the stunts at least get a little crazier. Shit goes a little more nutty. And this one felt like it's a step backwards. It was like this should have been the first Equalizer movie or something like that. Because like it just, I wanted a lot more new stuff to happen, and not a lot of new stuff to happen, and it felt very slow and very, like, yeah, sure, it's great seeing him talk to the daughter of his old friends at the CIA Financial Crimes Division, but that's not for an Equalizer movie. I'm sorry, that's just not. Like, I want to see people violently murdered by Bob McCall with prejudice, and that we didn't get enough of that. So I'm like a 67 for me.
Yeah, I'm at a 70, so in between you. I did like this better than the second one, not as much as the first. Denzel, does anyone have a better like just stare? Does anyone stare better than
Great stare?
Yeah, he does that for 30 minutes of this runtime where he'll just wait, what?
Who said it was a better stare? Apple.
Not according to Jeff.
Just ask Jeff.
That took me a second. But yeah, no, the action here, I get what you're saying in terms of like, it's definitely a step back in terms of how much action there is, but I really like the way they shot this. They shot it like a horror movie almost. Like I said it in our group text. I was like, they shot him like he was fucking Mike Myers. There are points where, the camera pans and then he's just standing in the shadows like he's fucking Batman right behind him. And he doesn't move fast at any point. Denzel's, I think, 68 in this movie, 68 years old. So they don't try to make him super kinetic. They just kind of have him looming and methodical. And it's kind of terrifying to, imagine what it'd be like to be on the other end. I really like that, especially as a change of pace from the John Wicks, the Tom Cruise Mission Impossibles. Like, it is nice to kind of switch over to this gear. The story is an issue. I agree with that.
Let's save that for cons. Let's because I would agree. There are some for sure cons you can talk about this, though. There's one that I think is kind of the glaring one. Let's talk. I feel like though this is more on the pro side of things.
Yeah,
we'll start with pros. I do think the action is good. I know Kendrick, you wanted more Equalizing. What we got, I do think is good though as well. Like I think like the stuff that we have is nice.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I don't think that the action that they actually did shoot was bad. I just wanted much more of it, which maybe is unfair for an actor of that age. But when you see Keanu doing what he's doing, it's like, hey, why can't we find a middle ground here for Denzel?
I like that. I think there's some stakes here as well. Like I do think I'd like him having to kind of build back up at some point in this movie. Like even the beginning, I didn't fully, spoiler alert, I didn't fully expect to have take place what took place. Like I was like, oh, here he's going to Superman his way out of this one. And then, there's something that kind of beats him down. He has to build back up throughout the movie. So I would say that's why I like kind of the more, maybe not endless Equalizing, but the fact that there is a bit more of like of an attention to slowing it down and kind of letting the story develop, even though, again, it's not the fucking greatest story ever told. It's not, it's not, some sort of Shakespearean tale, but I do like that. I don't know if you guys have any other pros for it.
It is in the top 3 of action movies with big set pieces in Italy this year, which
Fast Five
a certain car movie did not make that top 3.
Is it going to be in terms of big live real sets? Is it going to be better than My Big Fat Greek Wedding in terms of European set pieces?
Dude, if the fucking poster is any indication for Big Fat Greek Wedding 3, they may not even have real actors in this movie.
Dude, that was unbelievable, that poster. By the way, that actor's having a comeback of his life. The dude who's like the husband in My Big Fat Greek Wedding, because he came back to Sex and the City, the new Sex and the City show, which is still awful. So he got a double comeback in 2 ancient franchises. So good for him, I guess.
I totally forgot that the second one existed. I can't believe there is. Like, it's mind blowing.
Oh yeah, another pro, and I forgot to bring this up during my first reaction. At my theater, by the way, Pat, this did numbers this weekend.
It did. It did really well. It's one of the biggest Labor Day weekend openings ever.
Shocking, honestly, 60 million opening. I I don't think they thought that. I don't think Denzel's mom thought this was going to do that well. But theater was packed. But the three people behind me, I swear to God, it was like the Weekly Planet behind me, because there's just three Australians. I sit down. I'm there for the trailers. I'm there 20 minutes early, watching them. And these guys are the biggest Equalizer fans, I think, on the face of the earth. Like, they're just talking. He's like, no, you don't know anything about the Equalizer. And then they would just start yelling, Bob McCall, Bob McCall. They're screaming it. It was awesome. It got me so pumped for this movie. I think I would love for just Australians to just show up at my movie theater now.
Is he like, what if we didn't know Australia doesn't really care about John Wick? They're just Bob McCall guys.
Yeah, I think it goes country by country for action franchise. That'd be kind of funny.
No, I think
Taken. Which one's the Taken fans like versus John Wick and
probably Northern Europe.
Northern Ireland loves Taken.
Europe loves Taken. America likes John Wick. Australia likes The Equalizer.
Which they'll like Extraction. They'll be Extraction guys if anything in Australia. No,
I guess Tyler Rake.
By the way, that's another thing. I think some of these movies, unless you're John Wick, you can't take liberties with lore. You can't be like, yeah, remember this guy's name or this guy did this and this. Like, no, you got to remind me, brother. Like I don't remember a lot of this shit.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's get that into cons now, because I think there's a villain issue, but I do think Dakota Fanning's character is kind of like whatever.
Why?
And then they reveal, again, spoiler, they reveal that she is the daughter of two characters that are friends with Bob McCall. One of them was killed in the last movie, played by Melissa Leo, I believe. And then our good friend of the show, been on the show a couple times, Bill Pullman, plays her dad. You find that out, which is just, you're right, Kendrick. We've talked about this recently with some things where the connective tissue of movies has only gotten stronger because of like the MCU and everything, and not that sequels don't connect, but there's almost like this just assumption that people remember like random small things from movies that we just don't remember.
Yeah, even like a significantly more successful franchises don't do that. You know what I mean? Like a John Wick really doesn't even do that too much. Like, how do you? There aren't Bob McCall guys like he doesn't have shooters like that. Just straight up, Bob McCall doesn't have, except for those three Australian guys at Gooch's Theater. He doesn't have them like that. You need to either not include that piece of connective tissue or do a way better job of setting it up, and they did neither.
Yeah, no, they just wanted to have the Man on Fire. They wanted to just market Dakota Fanning in the movie, and they were like, "Oh, who can we make her the daughter of?" Figure it out. They really didn't need to. They could have made it a way cooler character, I feel like, or just not included at all.
I think not included is probably the right move. I think Denzel carries the villain is weak too. The villains plural
Italian man,
kind of which is a bummer because I think they misused Pedro Pascal in the last movie. I think someone like him in this would have been like a great foe. Like I think this character needs that kind of big foe. That's why I think him kind of dealing with his own shit in the beginning and like, getting hurt and having to recover and all that. I think that really helped it out a lot. But I think a good, like that really made up for the lack of like a good villain. But I do think the villain is truly a problem here where if he has a big foe to go with, and I don't even think the Pedro Pascal character was all that great in the last one at all, but I wish maybe that been repurposed for this. It might have been even better than, I mean, I still liked it, but like it could have been better.
He never felt like he was challenged at any point.
Yeah,
exactly. You need a distinctive foe. Exactly. You need a distinctive foe. You always need one. Like even in John Wick 4, he had two of them. He had the Marquis and he had Donnie Yen to fight in that movie.
Yeah.
So like in this, to just be like fighting vaguely Italian dudes, like pretty much nameless. I couldn't tell you a single name from anyone other than Bob McCall in this movie. Like you really need in a movie like this when it's like, hey, here's your big hero guy. He needs a boss fight. He always needs a boss fight, and it can't be somebody you don't give a shit about or somebody you don't build up. You really need that either guy story or it needs to be a face like Pedro Pascal was in the last one. It needs to be that, and there's just nothing for this one.
Yeah, there were literally, like I said, he wasn't challenged. There was no boss fight at any point. He was never challenged.
It's kind of natural ends.
That's what if they're going to do another one of these. Like I think it's important. They don't need to get like a big name actor. They don't need but I'm saying like it's got to have someone that brings a character that has some sort of good counter to him. if they want to keep making these, because I do think that is part of the issue. I think there was enough here in the story to kind of change it up a little bit and carry it, but like you can't do that again. So you need a good foe for him again, which is why the Wick ones are so great.
What's Ray Allen up to these days? If you want a villain for the next one, get another reuniting of old castmates together.
Which one was Ray Allen in?
What with Denzel?
Yeah,
he got game.
Oh,
I was thinking. Yeah, I was
thinking Man on Fire. I was like, was he even fucking Man on Fire?
No,
was he in the background?
No, he was too busy eating pussy in those days or whatever. He was that was his tweet, right?
Trying to.
Yeah,
my brain was not racking far enough back to go into sports movie Denzel mode.
Do you think they? I mean, if they make another one of these,
there's Panettiere, have him boo him somewhere.
That would be funny.
Yeah, we got a
right, go ahead,
Bob McCall. Bob McCall, you need to go back and we need to have you execute this new villain. His name is the Pelican Brief.
He can't keep doing these, right? He's already. I mean, like
he seems to love them.
I get that older action stars have become more of a norm recently, but like he doesn't feel like he's in the physical space to continue doing. If that makes sense. Like even here, they're really doing some work to shoot around the action. I could see him maybe doing like a prequel, but Denzel's time with this has to
be tough though too. You got to de-age him a little bit. I don't know.
I'm saying just cast John.
Have someone else. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I don't even think you need to do like that. Just like have him pass the line to like, oh, here's my long lost son I never knew about. Bobby McCall Jr. and it's just like Yahya Abdul-Mateen and like just start again with him.
See, that would have been a cool thing to set up here instead of doing that Dakota Fanning character. Start setting up, successor.
Yeah,
could also just have it be his son too.
Yes,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just have it. It's Bobby Jr.
Yeah. You just Bobby have John Davis literally play. John Davis playing like a younger Equalizer.
Do what they're doing with
do what they're doing with Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell with the Godzilla thing. That'd be kind of cool.
True, yeah,
that
would be.
Where
cool.
It's like they're both in it.
Yeah,
I will say though, Kurt Russell looks exactly like Wyatt Russell, and John David Washington and Denzel don't look crazy similar. Like they obviously look similar, but not like that level.
They made Joseph Gordon-Levitt look like Bruce Willis.
That's fair.
So. Yeah, it's possible. So it's possible.
That was also a stretch.
True, that's true. They just like gave him contact lenses. So closing thoughts. 72 for me. I think it's the best of the franchise. I like that they kind of scaled it back a little bit in some spots. Maybe me looking for a bit more of a story is not the purpose of the Equalizer franchise, which I could definitely see. But I do like what we get in terms of the Equalizing. I did enjoy. I think overall this franchise is very enjoyable. It should not be slept on, which people don't seem to be. It's making pretty good money for what it is, especially for Labor Day weekend, which has had issues the last couple of years post-pandemic. So that's my closing thoughts. Ken Jack.
Yeah, I wish there was more Equalizing for sure. I remember when we reviewed Equalizer 2 with Feidelberg. That was our number one thing. These movies need to have maximum amount of Equalizing. I don't think it hit that level of equalization that we wanted out of an Equalizer movie. But some redeemable fight scenes, like you said, when the fight scenes do happen, they're good. And the Italian countryside looks nice, except for the Italians that unfortunately live there. So that is, I think, the best we could say about the Equalizer.
Is it unfortunate that Italians live there, or is it unfortunate for the Italians who live there?
No, it's unfortunate that Italians have to live there and ruin an otherwise great country.
Kudos. If this is the end of the road for the franchise, kudos to this trilogy. I think
you want to just end the franchise. You just keep I read
that they're done with this. I think I did read that they're done. Like Antoine Fuqua and Denzel said that this is the end of the road. If it is, I just would like to say it's a great trilogy. It's going to be one that I'm sure like 10 years from now we'll get like articles on like why this is the most underappreciated trilogy of all time. Yeah. It's like it just is consistent across the board, very enjoyable and very watchable. Denzel, I mean, he is Bob McCall. No, they'll never be able to recast or recapture the Bob McCall. Don't reboot this franchise.
I think it'd be relatively easy to recapture Bob McCall. To be fair,
they're going to make her a girl. They're going to make her a girl with blue hair.
Oh,
they literally did. It's a show on CBS with Queen Latifah.
Oh fuck!
Yeah, I'd say, yeah, it's Queen Latifah is what I was about to say. Yeah, that is they already did that.
And this is also loosely based on a show from the 80s.
Which is, by the way, maybe the meanest thing that they've ever tried to do to a character is to make it Queen. Like, imagine they did like a John Wick series starring like Melissa McCarthy, like as John Wick. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
Our next review will likely be. We may review some other things like Bottoms. I think we're gonna end up reviewing now that it's hitting more theaters. But I think our review next week as well is going to be The Nun 2.
Oh yeah,
Never saw The Nun.
Well, you'll have to watch The Nun. It's one of Ken Jack's scariest movies ever. Now it doesn't work like that here.
It's like a 60.
Hey, you want to find yourself. You want to find yourself not behind a microphone anymore? You go watch The Nun 2. You go watch the first Nun before you watch The Nun 2.
Hey, I've been to church. I know what's going on.
That's why it's so scary, dude. You'll see.
Ken Jack was terrified of the Nun, of the original Nun.
You'll get it. Damien Bashir in his bag.
You go binge The Nun.
Yeah, I'm watching Nun.
The Nun.
Yeah, I'm watching Nun. None of that shit.
Dude, fucking I just remember I watched that and I gave it like a 60 and you guys were like,
you
what?
Get like
a 60?
Yeah, you did. You gave it a high score. You get like one
60.
You get like one I'm not going to watch this a year. You've already used yours. So now you got to catch up.
Yeah.
That's what the LCB boys do. They watch everything, good and bad. That's why that's why we watched Silk Road 100 times.
You cooking up some oregano in here?
What an iconic, unbelievable movie, and a movie unbelievable, a movie I cannot believe exists.
Love Simon S. motherfucker selling drugs. Sorry.
Equalizer 2, a fun time at the theaters. Go check it out. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Like and subscribe helps us out a ton. For Ken, Jack, and Gooch, I'm Jeff D. Lowe. We will talk to you next time.